Hi, welcome to Buff Zone, sponsored by Liquor Mart at 15th and Canyon, downtown Boulder. All home for all your tailgating needs.
You just like saying Liquor Mart, don't you?
I do.
You do.
I'm Kyle Ringo. This is Neil Welk. We cover the University of Colorado Athletic Department, the football team for the Daily Camera newspaper. Neil, the Buffs are coming off a huge win against Georgia, and their reward is a trip to mid-Missouri to face the, number 24 Missouri Tigers?
24 Missouri Tigers. They played them close, though. See, that's the good news. Been some
Missouri?
close games, yeah.
Okay. That's what you're selling this week. Huh? But close is, over the last 4 years, 177 to 40. That's close.
That's close. If you look at this game coming up, this is a big game for this program. I mean, I think every game this year, big game for Dan Hawkins. You know, I've said it before. It's almost a referendum on Dan Hawkins. It's a 12-game referendum. However that season plays out. But this one in particular, on the road against a ranked team, against a team that they have had not even come close to playing well against over the last 4 years. And if they can go out there, play well, take care of all those things at once, then that's a step forward for them.
Hey, it's interesting. I was doing my Associated Press top 25 the other night, and I was thinking to myself, wow, if Colorado wins this game next week against Missouri, they might actually start appearing on voters' radar and stuff at 4-1 with a victory over a ranked team on the road. I mean,
oh yeah, a win there
that's
would
a possibility.
That 52-7 loss to Cal is way back in the background now if they would turn around and beat Missouri. The thing about that Cal game that struck me is I was watching the Georgia game. I honestly don't think that Cal has any better athletes or any better players than Georgia. As I was watching that Georgia team, I was just astounded at the terrific level of talent and athletic ability that team has, and the way Colorado played against them, I thought was reason for optimism. But then you think that it was just a month earlier that they went and played a similar team in Cal. I mean, big wide receivers, all those things, and just played so horribly on the road. It really makes you wonder what's going to happen this weekend, and that's why I think this is one of those crossroads games for this program.
There's a long history, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know because you've been around a while, but there's a long history in college football of teams, stumbling early in the season and going on to great seasons and championship seasons even. Not that I'm getting that far ahead of myself. But this team could really significantly distance itself from that Cal thing with a win over Missouri. And I think you're right. That, especially coming off 2 wins now, a big win over an SEC team in Georgia, that Cal experience is sort of, not really lingering anymore. And winning on the road would pretty much vanquish that. And
no, I think, you could put it in the background. You could
right.
say, okay, they stumbled early, they had a bad game, things avalanched on them, did all the things that Dan Hawkins and all his players are talking about in that game. But if they could get a win this weekend, it would certainly cure a lot of the ills that are still following this program right now. There's no doubt about it. They haven't won on the road since 2007. They haven't played well against Missouri since Dan Hawkins got here. So they could take care of a lot of those things this weekend. Now, is it going to happen?
I sort of doubt it, just because I've said this before. I said this before they went to Cal. When it comes to this team winning on the road, I need to see it to believe it, and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen them perform well outside of a game at Oklahoma State last year on a Thursday night, and then a couple of years ago they were within a 57-yard field goal of beating Nebraska at Nebraska. There have been a couple of performances on the road.
First half against Texas.
Right, where they've played all right, but something always seems to happen to derail them on the road, and then from that point on, they don't seem to have the same spirit and fortitude to rally from it the way they do at Folsom Field. I mean, this team has been down the past 2 weeks at Folsom Field in the second half by 10 points or more and has come back to win. And that doesn't happen on the road. And if they can figure out why that doesn't happen on the road and correct it, I think they'll be onto something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was talking to a guy last week, and he looked at me and he said, how could any sane person, I think is what he told me, how could any sane person think that this team is going to go to Missouri where they've just gotten drilled the last couple times they've been there, where they haven't played well, and where they, against a team that has dominated them, how could any sane person think that they're going to go on the road and play well at Missouri? And I would agree with you 100%, but nobody's ever accused me of being sane. I'll plead insanity in this one. I think they're going to go there and play well, and I think that because I sat and listened to Ryan Miller today, and I listened to Jimmy Smith, and I think some of those older guys on that team, they're really tired of this, and I think they remember just what it was like just to get punked by Missouri, just in so many ways and in so many places that it's happened, and I think they're old enough to not let another Cal happen to them. I think they've grown up enough, even in the last couple of weeks, to say, okay, things don't go wrong, it don't go well, they're not going to let it snowball on.
See, I don't buy that is a real motivation, or that is a significant enough factor to get them over the hump, because I just got done writing a story about how last year's seniors were saying a lot of the exact same things. I mean, Ben Burney, Jeff Smart, Ryer Gear, they were all sick of losing to Missouri. They were all frustrated by the way they had performed against Missouri in the previous couple of years. And what did they do? They came out and they fell behind 33-3. So I don't necessarily buy that is enough, but I do think that Colorado's running the ball right now well enough that they're going to have a chance to win this game. They're going to be in the game. I'm not anticipating a blowout again. I think Colorado's going to be in position to make some plays, and it's just going to come down to whether or not they do make those plays. But I think 200 yards, more than 200 yards on the ground in consecutive weeks now, has given the offense a level of confidence that we haven't seen in a while around here, and that's going to allow them to be competitive in this game. The defense is always pretty good for the Buffs. So I think they'll be competitive, but like I said before, I have to see them do it on the road to believe they're capable of winning.
Difference between this year and last year. Last year's team was playing Missouri saying, they're tired of getting beat, they're tired of getting punked by Missouri, they're going to play well. They didn't have anything to base that on. They hadn't beaten anybody, they hadn't played well. Okay, they had not, other than Wyoming, they hadn't beaten anybody. They didn't have anything to draw on and say, that's where our confidence is coming from, we've played well. This team has played well. I thought that the game they played against Georgia was the best game I've seen Eric Keesaw call, by far, as an offensive coordinator. I thought the defense played well. A.J. Green's going to score on you. I thought that the running game played well, and I thought it was by far the best game I've seen Tyler Hansen play. Put all those things together, they're going to play with these guys.
Here's the biggest key in my mind, in terms of them giving themselves a chance to win, is they cannot come out and get down early again like they did last year, because all of that stuff is just going to come rushing back, and it's going to deflate them. The road losing streak, the history against Missouri, if they find themselves down 14-0 at the end of the first quarter, I'm not sure they're going to rally back from that. But if it's 14-7, or if it's 10-7, or 7-0, or whatever, as long as it's close early in the game, the Buffs can rally from that. They can build on that, so to speak.
Fast start. Really interesting thing. Did you see what Dan Hawkins did last week against Georgia? He won the toss, and he did not defer. He took the ball. Most college coaches, I'd say 90% of the college coaches in America, if they win the toss, they defer to the second half. Dan Hawkins didn't do that. He wanted to get a fast start.
And they ran a 13-play drive, and 10 of those plays were running
passes.
plays.
Or called runs, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. 80 yards, they scored, and I think that's what they have to do this weekend, is get up, get down there early, make it a game, and then I think they've got their confidence going.
Neil, were you at the fifth down game 20 years ago?
No, I was not.
You weren't?
I was not at the fifth down game. I actually covered another game that day. It's the only CU game I missed for about a 6-year span right there. But I did not go to the fifth down game.
But give us your take real quick. I mean, what is your impression?
Here's my thoughts. You can't overturn referees' calls. In my mind, that's a referee's call. The '86 Cardinals lost on a bad. Armando Galarraga, Detroit Tigers this year, threw a perfect game, got it taken away because the umpire made a bad call. Did he throw a perfect game or not? No, he didn't throw a perfect game. Colorado scored on a fifth down. The officials were on the field. They're the ones that made the call. When Bill McCartney looked over there and that marker said second down, he said he had 3 plays left. Those are the 3 plays he called. So should Colorado have given the game back? No. Did the officials make a horrendous, terrible, horrible mistake? Yes. But that's just the breaks of the game, is officiating.
That's going to make you Mr. Popular in Missouri this weekend.
Well, that's really going to break my heart.
All right, so we'll come back next week and we'll.
Colorado wins this weekend, by the way.
You think so?
Yeah, Colorado wins.
I'm not buying that.
You didn't buy Hawaii.
I know.
You didn't buy Georgia.
I know.
Better start buying something.
Hey, I bought Colorado State. And I picked Cal to beat the Buffs.
Yeah.
Who'd you pick in the Cal game?
I did pick Colorado. Who'd you pick against Hawaii?
What was the score of that game?
What was Hawaii?
What was the score of the Cal game?
52-7. What was the score of Hawaii? What's your record picking the Buffs this year?
I think I'm 2-2 now, right?
Okay. Just checking. See you next week.